Here on the same table where we operate now, we are going to take the next case as a CA vocal cord, the T1 lesion of the vocal cord for cordectomy. We'll discuss the principles in detail and then how the laser has a big role. In that case, the laser will have a huge role as a principal role with some advantages. And now we are here with the next case. In between, I mentioned we have 3 stapes. We have already shown 3 stapes in the stapes webinar. So we are looking for more and more, stapes, as the varieties in the stapes surgery is something unlimited. We did a stapes carnival in 2013 in Jaipur. 50 cases in 2 days we did, and had variety of cases including gushers and all. So in the last webinar also all 3 cases were different. The first case had a difficult foot plate. The second case had a difficult incus, and the third case was most favorable, wherein we did a reverse staptotomy without laser. So every condition is different, and to give in more and more opportunity to interact with different situations, these are 3 cases. So first case I am going to show you right from the beginning with flap elevation and all. Rest 2 cases will show in between. In the sense, I will not show the flap elevation, and curatives will be done by my associate, and will go directly to the pathology, to the fenestration and prosthesis, so that we can save a lot of time. The 3 cases will be finished quickly so that we can focus on more cases. So this patient, just quick review on the radiology we have discussed in detail in the stapes webinar. So what all to be seen quickly related to this patient? I am coming from above. This is my semicircular canal, superior canal. I want to rule out all third window lesions. So what I will see on, see this? This is my vestibule here. See this? And this is the superior canal. Follow the superior canal, good. Follow the superior canal. See this? Absolutely intact. Intact bone over it. So you need to rule out third window lesions because of any communication to the subarachnoid space with the carotid artery. See the carotid cochlear, this septum is intact. All semicircular canals are intact. This is lateral canal, vestibule is normal in size, and the cochlea is normal with normal aperture, normal modulus. Just to quickly recapitulate what we need to see. So by and large the inner ear is absolutely normal. Secondly, beside that, this is the vestibular aqueduct, good. And here this is the cochlear aqueduct, is good, not very enlarged. Any of the aqueduct is not very enlarged. Now coming down to the atic, see the malleus and incus. Now see no anterior fixation of the malleus with any bone. Can you see clearly? And at the same time I would like to see if there is any superior fixation of the malleus. See this malleus? And superiorly also there is no bony fixation. Because this is one of the common, surprise one may get when you find in this conductive hearing loss. The patient has a normal TM and, conductive hearing loss, and you may have such kind of fixation of other ossicles, which you can certainly rule out. In case there is a malleus fixation, we can plan our surgery in the way that we can go to the atic and vaporize that bone, fixing the malleus to the atic, which is not required here. Just to rule out. Now coming to the cochlea. Cochlea is absolutely normal, not eroded anywhere. See this? There is no involvement of the inner ear. You can see all the 3 turns of the cochlea. Now coming to the ossicular chain. This is vestibule, can you see? Yes. And this is the level of the foot plate. And what is this there? Is the stapedial arch. Yeah, very clear. Very clear? See the stapedial arch. And if I see dynamically, see this is the incus. See this is the incus. Incudostapedial joint. Can you see? Yes, sir. And then this is the incus body and the malleus. The entire ossicular chain look good, nice and intact. And the stapedial, both the crura are seen, visible, and this is right on the vestibule. This is what we wanted to see. Now third is any visible otosclerotic foci. We all know the otosclerosis foci is seen at the fistula antefenestrum. Here, if you see carefully, this is a small hypodense area. That is fistula antefenestrum. This small hypodense area, if you see carefully, the small foci, rest is all normal. Rest is all normal. And see towards the round window also, it is round window, it looks patent, and there is no hypodense area in relation to round window to rule out any round window otosclerosis. Now, most important other things are to rule out the abnormal conditions like persistent stapedial artery. I mentioned that day, if you have, you'll have a dilated facial canal. It doesn't look like, can you see? It doesn't look like, and you see the foramen ovale and the spinosum well in place. This is ovale, this is spinosum. It is intact, so there is no possibility of, it rules out the possibility of persistent stapedial artery. Lastly, the facial canal. See, this is the horizontal facial nerve. In axial section, you never know how inferior it is. So again, we have to go to the coronal with this reconstruction and see if the facial nerve is overhanging. See this. Now how to see? See the vestibule. Let me enlarge. Can you see the vestibule here? This is a superior canal, this is lateral canal, and this is intra-auditory meatus. See that? And now, and this is round window. And here is the oval window. See this. See now how the ossicular chain is coming to the oval window. See this. See the step is going to the oval window. Very clear. Can you see this? And see what is there above. This is facial nerve. So this, what you can see, this is the level of your oval window. See here in the depth. And this facial nerve is just above. The oval window is not very broad, big, but still the facial is not obscuring by means of coming down onto the oval window. See, it is not coming down to obscure the oval window from our visualization. Okay? And lastly, we go to the, the jugular bulb. See, as I go down, this is the round window. We don't see any jugular bulb at this level. As we go down, this is round window level. As we go down, now the jugular bulb is coming. So it is far below. So as far as the anatomy is concerned or any surprise diagnosis, I don't think it should create a major problem. Now rest of the thing, let's explore. So in the first case, I am going to start right from the beginning, and then the next two cases will show after the flap elevation, so that we can show more variety. And the next case would be the CA vocal cord. Any questions?
These are 0.5 mm cut.
0.5 mm. You can see points. This is 0.7 here. Sorry, let me show you.
So this will get at least 0.5 or 0.7 of.
Yeah. See this one. This is 0.7 mm here. Can you see?
Yeah,
This is 0.7 mm cut.
The last time you told, it is not always that we see the hypodense area fistula and fistula. Sometimes
You may not see. You may not see. You may find absolutely normal, anatomy without any visible otosclerotic foci, because that is sometimes so small, but that is good enough to fix the foot plate. And the patient has a moderate conductive hearing loss, bilateral, same pattern with an intact drum. Let's explore what it can be. So our procedure is obviously an exploration. And the next case is now this patient is extubated already. So we'll intubate the next one in the other theatre.
There's a confusion is there. I asked for CUSA, not CUSA. That road in the Capillometer.
What do you ask for?
CUSA. Role of CUSA in Capillometer, not CUSA.
Not CUSA, then what?
I asked what CUSA, role of CUSA in the recurrent Capillometer.
Still I didn't get.
Why it's not there?
Thuja. Yeah, Thuja. Thuja has a role. Sir has already mentioned. Girish Mishra sir had mentioned. It's a homeopathic drug which is very popular for the papilloma management. It has been used for other papillomas, so used for laryngeal papillomas also. Not very specific. We don't know what the content is, but even in the homeopathy literature, it has been proven to have a efficacy against the papillomas. So we are using, and we are using because we don't have any definitive answer.
Yeah, that's perfect.
So we can continue questions. The meantime, washing up.
What are the chances of Mealy's fixation even if radiology doesn't help? Means if
Ah,
radiologically
yes.
we are sure that there is no Mealy's
Yes.
fixation above or
Intelligent question, Vishal, intelligent question. There are chances. The reason is radiology can pick up the bony fixation. It may not pick up the hyalinized ligaments,
yes, that was I.
So hyalinized ligament again can affect the mobility of the ossicles, which may not be picked up by radiology. So that's why I said, we'll finally see on exploration. This is a broad overview to rule out any major issues. We discussed in detail last time the mallear ligament fixation. The Archimede, he explained in detail. Archimede, huge experience of stapes surgery. We saw him, and in his series, he has found up to 10 to 15% patients having anterior malleolar ligament fixation to the level that affecting the hearing. Maybe mild, but yes, affecting the hearing. So that is something you cannot ignore.
One question is why we recommend at least 3 to 4 months gap between two studies?
Not 3 to 4 months, sometimes people 1 or 2 years.
Yeah, why we
Because there are reasons to it. Number one, in stapes surgery, since we open the inner ear, and for that matter, any other surgery, when we operate in the middle ear, the ongoing reparative process, it goes up to or lasts up to 1 year.
yeah.
So we need to stabilize the things until the reparative processes is over. Number one. In stapes particularly, since we open the inner ear, we are little concerned about, because every stapes has a potential sensorineural hearing loss.
Yeah, yeah.
So it is always better to wait for at least a year, or some people wait for 2 years. There is no harm. And once you have given hearing in 1 year, there should be no rush for the other year. Yes. Yes, sir.
Why do you prefer endometal over endoral incision?
Same, if you are comfortable with it, you can always add a mini endoral like Ashim does, in case you are not.
Both hands free if you are using a respirator.
Yeah, still you can make both hands free by using an appropriate size speculum, or by taking the help of your assistant if you have a regular assistant who can help you. Still you can. Majority of the times we go endometal.
So Dr. K.C. Prasad from Kolar is asking, is there any way to know the thickness of foot plate?
Yes, cone beam CT scan. We have many times, this patient has already the scan done. Otherwise, we get a cone beam scan done. When it comes to ordering a scan of the temporal bone, high resolution scan, cone beam, we can have the thickness up to 0.05 mm. And we have many times measured the thickness of the foot plate. There are many publications also which corroborates well with the cone beam. If cone beam shows thickness 0.3 mm, it is most likely 0.3. Many of the studies have been done. See, this is my horizontal incision, and this is a vertical. You have seen in the previous, how we make the flaps. This is just for people who had not seen earlier. That was the inferior. Now the
Why giving local in these cases?
yeah, you are.
Why give the local?
Yeah, be careful not to create flaps. Nothing else. And we don't use strong infiltration like. Strong means this is just 1:2 legs. दूसरा लेके आना बड़ा वाला. So 1:2 lakhs to prevent the flap necrosis. Not like 1:30,000, 60,000. A lot of people try to use to avoid bleeding, The best is use the regular one and wait for 10 to 15 minutes. The effect is going. Now see superiorly how thick the flap is. And you can't, you're not supposed to go in one go. See, in multiple goings, I'm reaching the level of the bone. And this flap, I am not going to give any release incision. As in case, like Vishal asked, in case some malleolar ligament fixation doubts, I can always go anteriorly to the malleolar ligament and do something to it. See, I have a full liberty to extend it anteriorly as much as I want. Not limiting anywhere this superiorly. Those who have joined, not those who were not there in the last Stapes webinar, we had a very useful discussion with Ashim and Ashish. They can go to the YouTube and watch that again.
So especially the first 3 hours discussion on the pre-view of vocal calls and everything is very important. In detail we discuss each and everything. I think everyone should listen to this.
See, I have elevated superiorly more. Now, coming back.
Suppose at this level the tear to happen and left with some tear at this level at especially annulus, what you will do in after surgery? Will you put a cast or
Yes.
just
At the end of the surgery, you have to repair it. You have to repair at the end of the surgery, like we do in tympanoplasty. See, now I'm reaching the level of the annulus.
Yeah.
So I will reflect my flap anteriorly, and inferiorly I have already given a release incision. Just reach to the level of the annulus. Stapes surgery is always full of surprises. In spite of everything, you may get surprised because the fine difference in the anatomy makes a lot of difference.
I get more times on the day of stapes, not on the day of implant.
More?
I get more tense on the day of stapes,
Yes.
less on the day of implant. Implant is more.
Yes, exactly. See the overhang. This is different in different people. The canal anatomy is so variable. Narrow, tortuous. So you should be able to overcome. You can't help it. Let it be, whatever. Now inferiorly, I will elevate to the level of my incision, so I can maximally push anteriorly. This is how my flap is not going to come my way. See this? So this is pushed anteriorly. This is not going to come. Now our area of interest is superior.
You decongested the canal before giving local infiltration?
Not really.
Not.
Now see the glimpse of certain things. See, I can see the glimpse of, incus below and the chorda tympani. छोटा cotton ball. What I will do additionally here, I will push this interior flap so it doesn't fall back, you know, with a small cotton ball anteriorly. Here. See this?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So now it will not fall again and again. See, our area will remain more and more open. Now, if I focus there down, this is your chorda tympani. See this?
Yes, sir.
And below that is your incus. And there is always some adhesions between the incus and the ossicles, you know. See this? You can break them, curate. Now, I hope the picture is clear.
Yeah, yeah. Very clear is more.
Clear, हाँ, let me know. ज़्यादा ये स्पेकुलम चेंज कर.
But Dr. Our Gaziwa, Dr. Uwe Singh, he has done, I think, project of stepping the postural approach. He does this postural approach.
Yeah, postural, if he's used to, he can do it. He's a very senior person, very experienced. Otherwise, we avoid postural for the line of sight, you know, is away. Yeah, see. See now?
Yeah,
I'm,
Radical Karl Stones curate.
yeah, the same Karl Stones curate.
long time.
Yeah, this is I'm using for years. Patla. Some part of the ossicles now coming into the picture. See the incus, the morphology of the incus.
Yeah, different.
Yes. I can see the glimpse of the foot plate, the tendon, you can see everything.
Yeah.
Ideal case.
Yeah, the old window I told you is not very broad because I saw in the coronal the height was less, old window height was less overall. Yeah, this curate is, this movement should be away from all important things. It should be away from the chorda, it should be away from the ossicles. This movement can be detrimental if you are not careful.
Yeah.
What are the other methods of removing overhang?
Simple drill, you can take the drill.
The drill prior to elevating the flap or you elevate the flap and then drill.
Yes,
Prevent the bone dust from going inside.
yeah, I can leave a cotton ball wash away. This is not too much of drilling. Drill is a very simple way. See this? More and more
Yeah.
right angle.
No exposure enough, I think.
First variable is at this point, incus is dislocated.
Oh, that's a disaster. Number one. Number two, if it happens to occur, now what kind of dislocation it depends. If the dislocation is to the level that it is completely, out of the joint, then you may have to go to the attic. There are many ways. If it is partial, you can repose it. You can see from here the malioinguinal joint, from here. I showed last time, if you remember, I will show you. And you can apply a drop of fibrin glue, reposite it, and come back after some time, after a few months. If it is completely dislocated, then you have two options. Either to go by a maliostepidiopexy,
I share the video on that day. Dislocating
yes.
the wrong way of curating can dislocate it.
Yeah, can you see the tendon?
Yeah, region is
Yes.
I'm sure no glare is now.
Now it is good. Now is good.
Because that speculum was giving problems, so this point of time, remove the speculum for a while. Correct. Now, posteriorly, my aim is to that level that because I use a clip piston, I need little extra. See the curettage. I have ample of space now. See this? Hello? Superiorly to the level where the incus starts broadening into the body. See that? See that?
Yes.
Incus superiorly has started broadening in the body. See that? And that is the inferior edge of the incudomalleol joint. See that? See the joint proper. Inferior edge of the joint. That is my superior limit of widening. See, let me focus on the joint. A lot of people ask how superiorly to go. That is the ideal limit. Can you see the joint?
Yeah.
See the malleus anteriorly.
Yes. Yes.
Very clear?
Very clear. Yes.
And that is the inferior edge of the incudomalleolar. That is my superior limit. Now see the facial now.
Yeah, very clearly.
See, I told you the height of the oval window was not
Yes, sir.
that much. And once the height is less, you can assume there could be some dehiscence of the facial also. Because this tympanic segment of the facial is very commonly having dehiscence. See that?
Yeah.
Now my next goal is to assess the mobility. Right? Next line.
So, Chris is asking, suppose
Next line.
सामान रेडी है पहुंच गया
sir here is having excessive hearing loss, would you go for statistics in that case?
1 year already what happened?
Excessive loss is there, moderate to severe.
1 year.
Yeah.
Because of the previous surgery.
Previous surgery or any other reason, maybe previous surgery.
So that means the only hearing ear.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
See, this we discussed last time. Again, I tell you.
Yeah, it is discussed here.
In why we were avoiding earlier the surgery in the only hearing ear. Why we were avoiding? Because of the possibility of another sensory hearing loss.
Yes.
And then when the patient already has a hearing loss in 1 year, you can totally deprive him of hearing. Now with the availability of, rehabilitation by means of various methods, the ideal way is first check the opposite ear whether the hearing is edible or not.
Yeah.
If it is edible, go for the hearing, the staphydotomy in the other ear. If it is a good candidate, go for staphydotomy in the other ear. If it is not edible, and if it is implantable, again you can go with the staphydotomy in the other ear. And if anything untoward happens, you still have a chance to rehabilitate. Okay? So in the present era, no contraindication. Now see I am checking the mobility. See, I am stabilizing the malleus. Yes. See now, where is the joint? See the joint below.
Yes.
Section there.
Dr. Satish,
Yes, please, sir.
I had a case whom I had operated almost 15 years back
Yes, sir.
and doing well for stapling surgery, and then he came with conductive hearing loss on the same side. Other side was of course having conductive loss.
Okay.
We found that the long press of incus was necrosed because
There.
of Teflon piston. And the piston and the necrosed part were just like,
One of the commonest finding.
yeah.
See, this was the joint.
Know about it.
Yeah, I am coming, sir. See, this was the joint, and this is my joint knife. See this?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah. So on exploration, after the surgery, stapes surgery, patient having conductive hearing loss, which is the commonest reason for exploration, or rather ideal indication for exploration, and the commonest finding is the piston, giving necrosis of the long process of the incus. So now, depending upon the length of the incus available, you have how long the incus was, the available length.
Just near the body, where the long process starts broadening towards the.
Oh, that means the major part of the incus are gone.
Yeah.
Because in the minor necrosis, you can lengthen the long process with the bone cement and carry out this regular, incudus trapedotomy. But if this much of the incus is necrose, then the best is to do a Malleus trapedotomy.
That is your prosthesis from malleus to foot plate.
Prosthesis from Malleus to foot plate. Malleus just below the Malleus neck.
Okay.
If normal Teflon piston can work with it.
Yeah, but see again, this patient is already, a victim of a Teflon piston.
You have titanium pistons available from malleus to foot plate.
Yes, very nice with a special piston with a ball and socket joint,
Okay.
So with that piston, the beauty of the piston is you get the piston height perpendicular to the stapes directly because it is a ball and socket joint.
And the
In
piston is
pis-
below the neck or above the neck?
just below the neck.
Just below the neck.
That is the ideal side because above the neck, the broadness of the malleus doesn't allow the piston, number one, properly. Though you can do one thing, you can drill with your diamond the neck a little bit and still you can. But the best is just below the neck, make a facet and that is ideal.
Do you need to interpose something because then the piston will
Laser on?
contact with the drum directly?
No, always interpose a piece of cartilage, thin piece of slice of cartilage. Now see, I have.
Excellent
Yeah.
exposure.
Wonderful.
In that case, vein graft is also necessary.
No. Abaya. Yeah, pardon, yes, what?
At this point in time, if you don't have that piston available, malleus to foot plate, so is it worthwhile going for the opposite ear stapes surgery and giving a good hearing? Because the other ear is already having conductive deafness.
But then what to do at this point of time to this year?
You close it, means patient is having serviceable hearing is not there because other ear is deaf, he was waiting for it to get done.
Yeah.
And this
So
ear now is developed deafness.
if you are not,
Profession.
if you are not in position to give him good hearing by Malleus trapedotomy at that point of time, then you can take call accordingly. But Malleus trapedotomy, a properly done Malleus trapedotomy has a good result.
So many times you don't have this thing in the stock, because
Yeah, I got your point.
it can come out.
Yeah, give me a suction. Now see what I'm scared of using laser here. My facial, which is looking thick because of the reduced height of the oval window, I am suspecting some minor adhesions of the facial also.
Yes, sir.
So what I will do beyond this, I will put a gel foam. As a shock absorber to my laser. See this? Beam section. I will come with my laser now. See, this is such a narrow area, and every time you come across some other difficulty, there could be facial descent, there could be overcrowding of the structures, reduced height of the whole window. Every case is little different. Now see my laser beam.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I will simply, I can cut this tendon easily, but I use this as a rehearsal, you know. Kidhar hai?
Yeah, for
That my beam is in alignment or not. See that?
Yes, sir.
yeah.
See that?
One good point.
Yes. Gone, sir. Gone.
Rehearsal for laser. That's a good point.
Yes. And see, my gel foam is protecting the facial now.
Yes.
Sir, many people are asking what are the laser settings you use in stapes.
Yeah, different, you know. For tendon, I use the 4 watts.
Okay.
For this, you know, the crust, posterior crust, it is stout. See this?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Yes.
See, it is perforated.
Yes, sir.
See this?
Yes. Yes.
So what I have done, I have weakened the crust.
Yeah.
See, weakening the posterior crust is good enough. Why to use laser more? See now, I can easily break it now.
How is your experience with the crurectomy
See
season?
this? I can easily break it now.
Yeah.
Very nice, sir. Very nice.
And anterior is fragile, you can easily break.
How is your experience with the crurectomy seizure?
See this? Crotmy seizures is again as a, you know, possibility of giving mechanical stimulus. See, laser is atraumatic. The energy is not transferring beyond that, wherever you are using.
So I think for the audience, sir has shown the stapes without laser in the stapes webinar. So people can go and watch that.
I showed last time.
Yes, sir. Without laser. So thank
Good
you.
again, he will show
See
no problem.
some mucosal adhesions.
Yeah.
The facial is little overhanging.
Boss, at this point, one question. If whole
See my
foot
foot
plate
plate.
is coming out,
Yeah.
whole foot plate is coming out at this point,
Yeah.
then
First of all,
what
again, I
next?
would say it's a disaster, number one.
yeah.
That's why this laser has a role. That's why laser is something which can certainly avoid this. Now see my foot plate so nicely.
Yes, sir. Very nice.
So in case what you can do otherwise, suppose you don't have a foot laser, you
Yes.
can either give a floater. If you mobilize the foot plate, you can give a floater, or you can bring the foot plate out of the vestibule by means of at the time of fracturing the crust. You know,
Yes. Yeah.
and that is a disaster because that is a sort of total platinectomy.
But still we can do vein graft and all.
Yes,
piston?
you have to
We
seal the
yes,
vestibule.
yes.
That's before hysterectomy, you should know how to take the vein graft and how to prepare it. That's a laser requisite.
Yeah. Now see my area is very clear.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
क्या हुआ इसको? Section. See the foot plate.
Yeah. Clear.
Now my goal of, you know, fenestration, I told you that day.
Fine focus, please. Fine.
Yeah. My area of fenestration would be in the center of the foot plate, at the central part, inferiorly.
Inferior.
See how anteriorly that area is there? I am not going to go there and do that because that is something close to the saccule below. Here is the central part. See that?
Yeah.
Yes.
And first of all, I'll measure my required length of the piston. So since I'm using, I told you the simplest way piston one can think of in terms of application. It's like a video game. A piston should be simple to use, first of all. ये क्या रहा है? इसको कुछ लग रहा है क्या? Clean. Section. See, you have to wait for the hemostasis. I am under magnification. Even a micro drop makes a difference. See this?
Yes, sir.
Can we use adrenaline gel form before this fenestration?
I generally don't use.
No.
This is hardly any bleeding, just a dry gel form for a minute.
Such a narrow field, you can't use a reverse technique.
Reverse, we have already removed the suprastructures.
No, otherwise we had to do it.
No, this is not
It's a quite
favorable.
narrow area, right?
Yeah, this is not favorable for that.
Yes.
दूसरा. So since I am going to use a Kurz piston, I am going to use same Kurz, measuring gauge. Section.
First, please elaborate that point, that promontory drilling, if there is a very narrow oval window.
Okay. See,
That is very important point.
Yeah, see this part of the promontory behind here. If you remember, I showed in the cochlear dissection in temporal bone dissection.
Yes.
This is the part of the ascending, limb of the cochlea.
Yes.
So here, this is closest to the footplate, closest to the vestibule, 0.3 millimeter below. But here the bone, the itself bone of the cochlea, the promontory, is more than a millimeter thick.
Yes.
So if you drill posteriorly, you practically doesn't puncture the endosteum. Section.
Any comment about tendon preserving staphylectomy?
Not really. See, in long run, it doesn't work.
In long run?
It doesn't work. In sense, though a lot of studies are done, it looks promising. But see, this tendon itself gets hyalinized in long standing fixations, Tendon gets hyalinized. So it no longer remains with same efficiency.
What is the importance of removal of mucosa over the footplate?
Yeah, it's always good if you are doing a vein graft, always remove. But here the laser serves the same purpose.
Yes.
लो मेरे को नापने का दो. See, I am measuring with the gauge I showed you last time. Let me show you. What is this? This is parameter. Can you see the lot of parameters on this?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
This is 1 mm, 2 mm, 3 mm, 4 mm, 4.25, 4.5, 7.5, 5, 6, like this. So let me keep it at 4.5. Now, whatever it is, see this much is projecting out. And this bar should coincide with the thickness of the incus. Then it would be 4.5. Suppose I make it 4.25, then this will remain out.
Yes.
So this gives you a very good idea, and that includes the thickness of the piston and 0.3 mm, what we are supposed to stay inside. So this is parameter, not the length. Okay?
Yes.
Give me. See, a little higher.
Yes.
Ashish Bhumkar has commented that this cord has created some notch on the incus.
Now this is good. See this?
Yes, sir.
This is 4.25. What he says, Corda has created a notch. Yeah, Corda is the optical, you know. Corda is here to
Do you
create
think it is Incus is comparatively shorter?
little, you can
Yeah.
say. You can say. Section, इससे पतला दे. और एक छोटा ना, छोटा वो दे, gel form.
Then you will add 0.25 in this piston, sir, for the foot plate.
No. I will use the same company 4.25 size.
Okay.
This is size, you know. This is size.
Okay.
हल्का सा लगा के दे, हल्का सा.
So some Patidar wants to know difficult to anti-crush.
Yes,
What
it's not
are different
common.
types of?
Yeah, that day Ashish spoke about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, lots of.
And here the recording also, we forgot to show that difficult anterior crush is a big problem if it is there.
Yes.
It is uncommon, highly uncommon. But if it is, it can lead to problems, you know.
Yeah, sometimes we have acro.
आगे में तक ने जो इंट्रोडक्शन दिया, we welcome our young dynamic superstar of ENT, Dr. Udbhav. He has worked with many stalwarts of India. सबके नाम लिया, रामलिंगम का भी नाम लिया. बीच में भी लगातार मैं क्वेश्चन में इनपुट दे रहा हूँ. आखिर में क्वेश्चन पूछा कि very important and most valuable question asked by Udbhav. मतलब लगातार सही से चल रहा है, healthy discussion. YouTube पे साइकिल वीडियो कमेंट.
Can you see my laser beam?
Yes, very clear.
Yes, sir.
See now, I will focus it in the center.
ये जब से सेपिरोटोमी होगी, ये सब
Center inferiorly. This is 0.5 mm. See this.
मनीष मुंजाब ये हैं, ये आनंद
Udbhav, Dr. Udbhav Mittal.
Volume, please.
Yeah. Good afternoon, Satish sir.
Hello, Paramita. How are you?
Good, sir. How are you? Yes, I'm watching your surgery, sir.
Oh, you are here back. See now my beam. Can you see?
Yes, sir, we can see.
The beauty of this laser is this shot. See that?
Yeah, single shot.
हटा दे. Can you see?
Yes,
I
sir.
got the fenestra at the side where I wanted. See this little.
Yeah.
This is exactly 0.5 mm. This is in the center part. And see, it is full of perilymph.
Yes.
Now, if your vestibule is full of perilymph, this perilymph acts as a shock absorber, you know, for the laser beam. This laser, CO2 has a, ability to get absorbed in water. And that is what protective here. Had this been a KTP or argon, any visible laser, they pass through the fluid. They are not absorbed by the fluid. And that can be dangerous. It can damage then the membranous labyrinth. And now see.
So what is the laser setting during the fenestra making?
Pardon?
So what is the laser setting while making this fenestra? What was the setting for the laser?
20 watts. See, I just my piston just rotated. What I did, I kept my piston at the fenestra, you know. See this?
Yes.
I will little bring it high up. See this?
Yeah.
It should be 0.5 mm from the edge of the incus.
Incus.
Yes, sir. Yes.
See this? See right on the fenestra below.
Yes.
And what then you have to do is gently. Yes. See my piston middle slot?
Yes, sir. Clearly seen.
The beauty of this piston, it is like a video game. So easy to apply. You literally don't have to fight with the piston, you know. Play with the piston.
Wonderful, sir.
So your fenestra is 0.5 and your piston is 0.4.
0.4. So
Okay.
0.05 mm sort of annular ligament as the endosteal membrane forms will form all around.
So ideally, which is the best side? Which side is 0.5, 0.6 fenestra is the best? Which one is best?
Above 0.4 is good, 0.4,
All are
0.6,
good.
yeah, same, almost same. But it should not be below 0.4, number one. Forcibly, no? Below 0.4 will not be able to transmit the sound effectively. And
Yeah.
number two, it should not be too big to create a sort of partial stapedectomy. Because the bigger you make, otherwise, more you'll have, have a possibility of giving choice. SNHL at the higher frequencies. The
Suppose our lung,
the beauty of these pistons, the smaller piston is to preserve the higher frequency. See the piston.
Yes, sir, we can see.
The best part is only less than 1/3 of the circumference of the incus is in contact with the piston. See that?
Yes, sir.
And it is holding so tightly like a clip. There is no play between the incus and the piston. No
Yes.
play at all. See that?
You don't use any tissue seal for fenestra? No.
Pardon?
You don't use any tissue seal for fenestra. It will automatically seal.
I will drop pour a drop of blood.
Okay.
I'm just checking everything.
Natural
I showed you last
fibrillation.
time.
Yes, sir.
See that fenestra, piston, everything is in order?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
The beauty of this piston is you don't need a crimping. Crimping is a, disaster sometimes. To have an accurate crimping, Ashish, if you saw the Ashish and Ashim's video, he uses 2 hands to crimp.
2 hands.
That is superhuman effort, I believe me. It is otherwise so difficult.
Or you should have very good quality of means so that crimping forceps. Otherwise, a normal forceps just hold the piston and
See?
sometimes you dislodge it.
Yeah, see, things are good. And
Yeah,
I'll just pour. See that drop of blood? Can you see?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
That itself will seal. Okay?
This is auto blood or
Yeah, auto.
Yeah, it will. Somebody will close. So my associate will close it. See what
One
you
thing-
expect. What you expect from a good piston. It should be extremely biocompatible with titanium is. There is no comparison to titanium. It should be stiff to transfer the sound energy completely. And third is there should be no play between the piston and the incus, which this piston offers.
Yeah.
I am not criticizing Teflon, but a Teflon need to be crimped.
Yeah, that's fine.
Check,
One
doctor.
more thing.
The Teflon need to be crimped. And that crimping process can be a disaster sometime. If it is too light a crimping, less a crimping, a loose piston will remain. And like sir gave an example, incus necrosis, a loose
Yeah.
piston which is fixed below at the lower end and the upper end is loose. That vibrating piston is going to give problem at the upper end of the incus and can lead to incus necrosis. So loose piston can be a disaster.
Sir,
And a
doctor,
tight piston, if you try to do a tight crimping, with a Teflon piston, that crimping process itself should be very, very calculated. Number one, that loop of the piston should not be circumferentially enveloping the incus. That is one of the factors which can lead to strangulate the incus and lead to necrosis. Number two, that process of crimping tightly can lead to malioinguinal joint dislocation. And that is more a disaster. In this piston, you just apply, the clip will open, the gentle opening of the clip, you push and the middle slot will take the incus tightly. Unlike a clip, only less than 30% of the circumference of the incus is in contact. No question of strangulating, necrosis, vascular supply, no between the incus and the piston. Extremely biocompatible material and
1 point.
which you expect from a ideal piston. Yes, boss.
1 point of discussion is that when we should discharge the patient, means what is the earliest time we can discharge the patient after the stapes?
See, if it goes uneventful, next day you can discharge.
Yeah, 24 hours is minimum actually.
Ideally, you should, because you open an area, you may have sometimes some mild symptoms. Because everything, even if goes uneventful, you never know what can happen post-op. We discussed in detail last time. There are so many factors which are beyond your control to give problems to the vestibule, to the inner ear system, to the vestibular system. That's why, if you notice, at no point of time you should, try to aspirate over the fenestra. That is one of the most important thing to give problems. Commonest. Never ever try to suck over the fenestra.
Dr. NMK Raju is asking, do you encounter any post-op vertigo during these cases and how to manage them?
Yeah, sometimes we have mild vertigo. It is all because of operative trauma. Number two, you never know the status of the endolymphatic system inside. If there is some silent hydrops or something going on, you never know. There can be a big problem even in an uneventful stapes surgery if there is a hydrops inside. That's why I emphasized last time the value of MRI if patient is willing to be done. MRI can tell you the exact situation of the endolymphatic system. If you get a 4 hours after gadolinium injection, IV gadolinium, and after 4 hours you acquire MRI, it will be taken up by the perilymphatic space and you can see the perilymphatic and endolymphatic spaces separately. You can exactly assess the hydrop, degree of hydrops. If at all you find, you can defer the surgery.
Do you give post-op steroids in these patients?
Yes, for 4-5 days
How
we
long?
give. 5
5
days,
days.
just betnesol, simple betnesol for 5 to 7 days. And this has been a regular practice. I have been following what ABR sir used to do. And this is good once you open the inner ear. See, some sort of serous labyrinthitis sets in. That is inevitable, serous. And steroid is something which is useful to control that.
Any other medication apart from antibiotic and steroids?
1 day injectable ceftazidime.
Mhm.
And that's it. That according to your convenience, you want, if you want to give something symptomatic.
When will you think of re-exploration post-operatively?
Re-exploration has certain indications.
Means a long piston or anything?
Yes. If your unusual symptoms which you are not expecting, like in this kind of a situation when you have an uneventful stapes, you have a properly measured piston, no question of an overlong piston or anything which has gone wrong. That is one situation. One is a person who is not experienced and by mistake put a long piston or something.
Yes.
So if you have post-op symptoms, according to the symptoms, if in a day or two, sometime all these symptoms settle down, sometime unusual symptoms settle down with a, conservative management for a day or two, with the vestibular suppressant and the steroid and all that. If it persists, then according to your experience, what kind of surgery you have done. Like this case I have done, I don't see any possibility of re-exploration. In case persists, you can take the help of radiology. Radiology in the sense that can tell you the length of the piston intravestibular. If it is, overlong piston or something. Or if there is a persistent fistula, which may be symptomatic. Sometimes it becomes symptomatic even in the early phase. So few days you have to observe. You can take the help of radiology. If the gravity of the symptoms do not come down and radiology point out to something and you are suspicious of that thing from your surgery as well, then only you explore.
You do
Most of the time.
intraoperative audiometry post-op as ABR sir does.
Ashim, ABR always. ABR sir, Ashim, they will always do.
Do you assess hearing in post-op period like Weber or something?
Yes. After putting the flap in position back, we assess objectively.
But suppose the Weber gets lateralized after 3 days, 4 days, would you explore?
Yeah,
the
that
patient
is
goes for
something
SNR.
that will be associated with some symptoms, sir. If the sensory neural hearing loss is coming immediate post-op period, there has to be something which has gone wrong. And there will be some sort of vertigo or also something which will persist. Tinnitus, some abnormal symptoms, sometimes abnormal sounds, whatever. And that is something which warrants at least radiology before the exploration. It depends upon the expertise what the surgeon has done and how you have realized. Like if some novice surgeon has done and patient has come to you, definitely you will explore. But like if some experienced surgeon has done, like I mentioned that if Ashim has done something and is not found wrong and patient has some problem, I will never dare to re-explore because there are certain regions which are beyond your capacity which can give problem. I mentioned I had a slide that time because the inner ear environment has totally changed. There could be some sort of high drops, there could be some sort of, the inner ear mechanics change, ionic imbalance change, so many things which is given to problem after ruling out the mechanical issues.
How about tinnitus? How do you reassure the patient? Many patients come with tinnitus and they ask whether it will go away or not. So what are the chances of tinnitus disappearing after procedure or they still persist? How do you counsel the patient about it?
See, counseling is different, but I tell you in hearts and hearts, majority of the, in pure conductive losses, majority of the low frequency tinnitus disappear.
Yes.
Patients who are asking upfront, you cannot reassure.
Yes.
Those are the patients that you have to tell what they are operating for is a conductive hearing loss. If the reason behind this tinnitus is a conductive loss, you may improve. Otherwise, you never know. The tinnitus is something which is, beyond control. Controlling tinnitus, and sometimes a psychological aspect is also involved. Some patients are too concerned. Some patients are too concerned and come to you for surgery only because of tinnitus, and those you have to be careful. They can drag you down to the court.
How much should be minimum AB gap? You will recommend for STBs, minimum AB gap.
Ideally, it should be 25-30 decibel. But I gave you reason that day, if you remember.
Yeah.
Sometimes patient present with even minimal AB gap, 15 to 20 dB, because initially where this foci starts at the fistula antefenestrum, it pushes the footplate behind. And as it pushes the footplate behind, it is not the true fixation of the footplate all around at the annular ligament. It is because of the pseudo fixation at the posterior vestibular joint. So the footplate is pushed behind to give some fixation, which is giving rise to 15 to 20 decibel. You have to be careful in that situation.
Yes.
I can do it with a laser in hand, automatically without mobilizing the suprastructure footplate. Still you can go ahead, but the patient will not appreciate that much of an improvement. But if you don't have a laser and if you try to do with that minimal airborne gap, it can be a disaster. You can mobilize like what, Vishal was asking. If the footplate comes out, mobilizes, those complications happen to occur when the footplate is incompletely fixed. So best is to wait for at least 30 dB to keep your surgical life easier, the intraoperative life course easier.
There is an airborne gap, definite 30-40 decibels, but bone conduction thresholds are low, like 15, 20. It's sort of a mixed element, but the conductive element is also there.
Yeah.
Rene is negative with all three. So would you still explore?
Yes. Before that, I will critically go through the radiology.
Okay.
These are the cases where the radiology can be game changing. There are so
What
many
points would you
situations.
analyze in these critical analysis? What points would you emphasize upon?
Yes. So, number one, in such low frequency losses, you have to rule out, first of all, with a mixed loss, you have to rule out any inner ear pathology which can be associated, like any sort of enlarged vestibular aqueduct, any sort of third window lesion, any sort of, the cochlear involvement or anything. That you have to rule out. And this happens very commonly in young age patients, young individuals. So you have to be careful in those situations, otherwise you may get an intraoperative surprise. So radiology is essential in those situations. If you, file is corrupted, bola na mera laptop. Any question, or we can continue? We can move. Go ahead with the next case.
Udbhav.
Udbhav.
Unmute. Udbhav, unmute yourself.
Sir, Dr. Mohan from Bangalore is asking, have you encountered any foreign body reaction with this implant? Piston?
Yeah. Any?
Any foreign body reaction with piston?
Honestly speaking, I've been using this piston for years now, and I have never, found the reason to re-explore for the reason of piston.
Okay.
That is the beauty of this piston. What we see, that the piston is so well aligned to the incus. A loose piston is always a problem. Long piston is always a problem. Biocompatibility, sometime which is never with us. I mean, rarely with the Teflon. So this piston that way is something amazing.
I think, sir, we have covered most of the things. We can go on with the next case.
Yeah, why this file is not opening? This file, Ankit.
So what about facial palsy? Have you experienced any patient having palsy after the surgery? And if yes, then will you go and re-explore again?
Yes, I have for 1 or 2 times, because ours is a teamwork. So
Yes.
we have faced in our team twice. ये कहाँ गई? खुल क्यों नहीं रही? Why is not opening? Restart करो. Restart this part. वो क्यों नहीं खुल रहा? Voice conservation वाला. खोल. Just a minute, Paramita. I am opening the next case file.
Yes, sir.
You see? Not accessible. Okay. वो कहाँ है? वो हार्ड डिस्क लगी हुई है ना? इसमें है ना? कहाँ है? Yes. Yeah? इसको चालू कर. So your question was regarding the facial palsy. So intraoperatively, if you have happened to, poke into the facial nerve any point of time, unknowingly, like this was a, dehiscent facial nerve at some place, and if your sharp instrument which is poked into can lead to intraneuronal hematoma or something which can compress and can give facial palsy. We have seen twice.
Okay.
So in that case, once your intraoperative course has gone good, and some surgeon has done and not sure of giving any problem, yet the patient has a facial palsy immediate post-op. Sometimes you wait for few hours for the local anesthesia effect to disappear. But if it persists, then obviously is the reason to explore. And we have found twice this kind of a hematoma for which we decompress the nerve.
Okay.
And that decompression has, relieved the compression and improved.
Okay.
Otherwise, sometime a secondary facial palsy come after few days or weeks
Yes.
after surgery,
Yes.
and that is
Yes.
mostly because of the reactivation of the virus, herpes virus. That is supposed to be because of reactivation of the virus.